And on a cold January day, look who we ran into at the golf course. A very relaxed, stress-free Gary Williams. He'll tell us all about life after basketball as News 7 at 6 continues. Former Maryland head coach Gary Williams is loving the stress-free lifestyle. Today we found Gary at the TPC at Avenel. He's involved with a nationwide tour which is moving from the University of Maryland over the TPC there in Potomac. We asked Gary about life after basketball.
It's the first time in my life I've had to create things for myself. When you coach, it's the season starts, school starts, recruiting period starts, everything's down there for you. You don't have to worry what your next thing you're going to do is. When you coach, you really have blinders on. You don't see much outside of your team, and it's been good for me to kind of open up a little bit.
Gary Williams.
This year's nationwide tour golf event will have a new venue. The Neediest Kids Championship will be played October 1 through 7 at TPC Potomac at Avenel Farms. The University of Maryland previously hosted the event. Nationwide Tour President Bill Calfee, a Maryland grad and former PGA Tour player, Tournament Director T.O. Soderman, and tournament host Gary Williams were in attendance. And we asked Gary his thoughts on the move to Avenel.
To go to a place like this at Avenel, for the players, for the fans, and you know, it's just going to make it better. And it was good at the University of Maryland. They did a great job of getting this thing kind of, you know, up to another level. And now is a chance to do some things here. So I think it's a positive thing.
Gary mentioned it's January 10th, and he's still undefeated.
Earlier today, the nationwide tour making it official. The Neediest Kids Championship, presented by Under Armour, will take place the first week in October, and it moves from the University of Maryland to TPC Potomac at Avenel Farm, a win-win for all.
From our to have a world-class facility like this, and we really haven't had a golf tournament here that's been sustainable. I think this is, and I think we can really grow it, so it's exciting on a number of fronts.
To be here now, in terms of the contacts with the PGA, everything involved, certainly puts us in a better light in this area, I think. So we have a lot of people involved already that are going to make this successful, and I think the players look at that quite a bit. You know, the word gets out, so I think this is only going to grow.
It's rather large news because tournament play returns to TPC. They had a senior event or a Champions Tour event now nationwide. It's a nice relationship with the PGA for a worthy cause.
Gary Williams spent this morning a couple hours out at Avenel in Potomac, the golf course there. Gary Williams was there helping promote the nationwide tour event, which is moving from College Park last year to Avenel this year. It's in October. Gary is sort of the tour director, tour guy, the face of this thing. It benefits neediest kids. I talked to the former Terps coach about giving back.
It's always been a part of coaching. You have a pretty good platform there to help kids, and you know, you get to know kids, and you try to get to know how they think, really, especially when they're your players. But you see other kids, and you just know that it's not much that takes to impact a kid's life. It's not a big thing you have to do. You just have to, sometimes you just have to see how it really works, and that's enough to get them going.
I was at one of these, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago. You did just what you did today. You were still coaching Maryland, and then a week later, whammo, you announced your retirement. What's that been like?
It's been different, that's for sure. I coached 43 years. I've been able to get involved in doing some television. Still working for Maryland a little bit as a consultant, and a little bit with Under Armour, so I've stayed busy. You miss parts of it. You miss the practices, obviously, and the referee when he tosses the ball up to start the game, you miss that part of it. But it's been good. The good thing is you can still see a lot of basketball. You can still, you know, follow it pretty closely from a different perspective.
I'm going to imagine it was not an easy decision. Maybe it was, but is it what you probably pictured? Okay, this is what it'll be like after coaching, and you are a coach's coach. Is it what you thought it would be?
Well, it's the first time in my life I've had to create things for myself. When you coach, it's the season starts, school starts, recruiting period starts, everything's down there for you. You don't have to worry what your next thing you're going to do is. Where in this thing, you're trying to develop some things, and I'm looking at things a little differently. When you coach, you really have blinders on. You don't see much outside of your team, and it's been good for me to kind of open up a little bit.
Do you watch the current team a lot, or?
I watch some. It's hard to watch, but I think they're doing a really good job, and they have a good young team that's going to get better as the season goes on.
They're going to name the court after you in a couple months, or even less. What will that be like?
That'll be wild. When I walked out of Maryland as a student to be a JV high school coach, they weren't ready to name the court after me at that point. So this is a tremendous feeling for me, and I'm very appreciative of the people that made that happen.
Did you watch that football game last night?
I did. I watched the whole thing.
Aren't you glad that in your sport they seem to settle it? When you won your championship, there were no votes, there were no polls, there were no computers. What do you make of this mess?
Well, I feel for Oklahoma State that they didn't get a chance to play for a national championship, for example. The great thing with the NCAA men's basketball tournament is the best team doesn't always win, but the best team always has a chance to play for the championship. And that's what's lacking in football right now. You know, who's to say the first week in January who the best team is? Things change during the year, and if you lose a game early in the year, why should that keep you out of playing for the national championship?
My last thing, Tim Tebow. I imagine you've caught up with what this guy is doing. You've had players, Juan Dixon comes to my mind, you'll know better. What's it like when you have a guy and the whole team seems to just rally?
There's very few great leaders. I think you see that in the military as well, and they just have that ability to pick everybody up and make them play better. And, you know, you can always look at Tebow and say, well, he can't do this or that, but he's a great leader. He's a winner. Winning is the most important thing you do as a team player. If you're on a team, it's not how many points you have, it's if the team wins. And that's what Tebow does. He brings winning to Denver.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
This year's nationwide tour golf event will have a new venue. The Neediest Kids Championship will be played October 1 through 7 at the TPC Potomac at Avenel Farms. The University of Maryland previously hosted the event. Nationwide Tour President Bill Caffey, a Maryland grad, Tournament Director Theo Soderman, and tournament host Gary Williams in attendance. And we asked Gary his thoughts on the new venue.
To go to a place like this at Avenel for the players, for the fans, and you know, it's just going to make it better. And it was good at the University of Maryland. They did a great job of getting this thing kind of, you know, up to another level, and now is a chance to do some things here. So I think it's a positive thing.
Gary looks good and relaxed. What are the odds? He's not coaching right now.